Welcome to Success on Your Terms, the podcast where we challenge the conventional, break free from the noise, and redefine what success really means for you. I'm your host, Natalie Potts, and in each episode, we're diving into unfiltered perspectives on business and life because success isn't one size fits all. We'll explore how entrepreneurs are thinking differently, taking bold actions, and creating their own rules. Get ready to rethink how you approach growth, strategy, and the true meaning of success. It's time to stop following the crowd and start building your business your way. Enfys, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on. I do throw people a little bit into it to start, but I say introduce yourself, what you do, and something a bit random or different.
Hmm. Yeah, this bit is always difficult to kind of capture in a few words, isn't it? But ultimately, I'm known as a sales mentor who helps service-based business owners recognize their goals and achieve them, and how that all connects to their sales strategy, their visibility strategy, their confidence, and just their scaling know-how. And I absolutely love my work. Absolutely love it. The business sales training with Enfys is 4 and a bit years in, and it's been, yeah, a zigzag roundabout journey, like figuring it out on the job and just following my creativity and seeing where it takes me. Really, it's been a lot of fun, and it's continuing to be a lot of fun.
I like the point there about like learning the business there. I was listening to another podcast by Alex Hormozy yesterday and saying about, when people start, the first thing you start in a business is just understanding the game of business, let alone even what
Mm.
you're doing as such. And it is, like you say, a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows. I always think, to be fair, I always say in corporate, like the highs are high, the lows are low, but I still feel
Mm.
that way about running a small business as well. It's
Life.
very, yes, you're right. It's life. It's this is acceptance, isn't it? But we make these assumptions. I love sales. I didn't use 2 years ago when I
Mm.
started. I used to say I build relationships and oh, it's lovely. And actually, I think a lot of that was just me. I needed to lean into you're a salesperson in the business, and I kind of wish that identity was more natural for so many people in business around how important sales is. And it's why I see conversations like this is so important, and the role you play as, like you say, a sales mentor is so important, but also going to sales mentors that, like yourself, that absolutely live and breathe it and love it. It's so important. What How can people work with that, like the identity piece here of seeing themselves more as a salesperson and not, I'm going to say excuses as such, like I used to be of, oh, well, it's just the
Mm.
relationships. Like, no, you have to see yourself as a salesperson in your business as a absolute key starting point.
Yeah, I think from the start, when I set up this business, I recognized that there would be like this big like aversion to having a sales mentor or having a sale, anything to do with sales. They wouldn't want to embrace it. So the whole time I've created this brand that rebrands what selling is. Like selling is a wonderful thing. It's not that icky, awful, like pushy, manipulative, coercive BS that you see. That's not great salesmanship. Great salesmanship will make both of you feel wonderful. Like it's all geared to being win-win. Like you as a service provider will be fulfilled by the work that you get to do with this next client, and this next client will be forever changed for because of the work that you do together. So it's just rebranding what that moment or what that relationship is, so we can identify selling as a wonderful thing as opposed to like, ultimately reject it on some level. And I think as soon as you start to recognize it for what it actually is and appreciate it and respect it as a skill and an inevitable essential skill that you're going to have to embrace. So if you fight against it, your sales will fight against you as well. Like you can't expect to have great sales and have an absolute aversion to sales. Like it's just not aligned, is it? So we've got to get on board with it and seeing it for you're just creating like enjoyable pathways and experiences into your world. And I think this is what I focus a lot on in terms of like, yeah, sales funnels. Okay, it sounds like drab, right? But we can get creative and playful and make it a make the sales process part of the onboarding experience by making it like client centric and experience rich and always provide value before asked, and then selling becomes, I don't want to say inevitable, but that is an end goal, right? Like if you do it well enough, the sales will be inevitable. But there's so many touch points, so many micro moments along that like client acquisition journey that you can optimize to be better, more comfortable. If there's transitional points that people find really uncomfortable. So it's like, oh my God, they're on a call, they're like,
Yeah.
they're on a call, they're talking, and they're like, wait, wait, wait. And they're like, oh no, I've got to sell. And you're like, no, stop seeing selling as like this awful, awkward, jarring moment. It's not that. If you're doing that, it's because you're selling really badly. If it's uncomfortable for you and you're uncomfortable for the client, it's because ultimately you're doing it really badly. So, you're not going to wake up one morning and be an interior designer. You worked on those skill sets. You're not going to wake up one day and be like performing in a musical theatre. Like you honed those skills. So I think seeing your sales skills as a vital, like just respect it a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like give it the attention, don't be scared of it, embrace it full throttle and learn to enjoy it, because if you enjoy it, your clients will enjoy it, and you do more of what you enjoy and you do far less of something that you ultimately reject. So you've got to get on board with it and see that selling is, I honestly think like it's just the most wonderful thing. Like I've had the most profound like relationships from my clients and the people I've bought for. We're always in two places at once as well. We're buyers as well as sellers.
Yeah.
So I would invite your audience, whoever's listening to this, to think of a moment that they really, really enjoyed being sold to,
Yeah.
and that look at the impact of that transaction and that trust. You know, a lot of the sales process is just a journey of reassurance and trust building, like reassurance again and again and again. I can help you with your thing. I can help you with your thing. I can help you with your thing. And just to embed that into everything that you do, that's a good starting point, I would say.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. When I look back to when I quit corporate and started, I was Instagram one night and I was scrolling away and this ad came up for an event and I, signed up and they rang me. They said, oh, hey, it's Jack at this place. And I was like, right. And I was defensive. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Bristles.
like, yeah, like you've applied for this. And I was like, did I? And it's like, yeah. So like, want to tell you a bit more about it. Then they were going on to sell the event and everything. And I was like, I was curious and interested, but I can also look back and see it very vividly that I was that person as well who was like, I need the time, let me think about it, or, throwing every blocker in I could.
Mm,
And I was like, bring me back tomorrow, let me think. And then they rang back and everything consistent. And I think because they started asking me questions, that was very
mm,
different from the experience I'd had before. And therefore I was more intrigued. So
mm,
I went to the event and everything, and then built the relationship again. More touch
mm,
points with me, delivered real value. I was like, I've never been to anything like this in my world, and there was something intuitively where I was just like, I knew I needed it, and
mm.
I made the decision to. I went like that evening, so it was a 2-day event. Looked at my finances, made a decision to invest. I can be very I do take risks and I can be very spontaneous with money as well. So
But that's business. If
yeah,
you're not taking risks on being spontaneous or trusting what is like calling out to you, well, what's the point? Like you're going to stay as you are. It's all about taking a leap of faith. You know, it. I think that more and more, and I think this. You asked me about identity. And the people who scale are the ones that embrace that element of their own identity. And that self trust that you're like, do you know what? Even if I go to this event and it's not exactly what I thought it would be, it might be something else. It
sure,
might I might just have just gone through somebody else's sales process and learned what I liked and what I didn't like. You
yeah,
might hate the speakers but love the somebody in the audience. Like the cascade of like what you can get from, it's not even a risky move. I think it's more risky to stay at home and do nothing actually. you know but people see like return on investment or reward on action is exponential, and you can't predict it, but it is undeniable. And I say that a lot for the events I run, but also the retreats specifically that I run. I'm like, I don't know what you're going to get out of this. like I have to be quite upfront. Like I genuinely, because it depends on who you're going to meet, depends what you're going to say, it depends what you're going to embrace and what what thread you pursue. Do you know what I mean? But the the results that come the other side of my results from the other side of my retreat are undeniable, but you can't predict it. You can go with best intention. So you've got to have that spontaneity, self-trust, and take that leap of faith. And are you glad you went to the event?
Yeah, I think like I then went into a mastermind on sales as well, actually, off of the back of joining a mastermind. And that was then more specific on that. And I learned loads around, like we say, company sales. And I think the key takeaway for me always is with this is it's me helping somebody to give them all the information they need for them to make an informed decision that's right for them. And it's not
Yeah.
like it's not to be pushy, it's not to be salesy, it's to ask better questions. And I think that example there for me was that they were asking me questions that also in an environment that nobody around me, because I didn't know loads of business owners at the time, but nobody would have ever challenged me in that way. And I needed that because
Mm,
yes, and yes, it was very different. It was scary, but it was also exciting that you saw a different world and opportunities. And had that person not have been, and quote, like salesy or doing their job,
mm,
that I wouldn't be where I am now. And I wouldn't have taken that jump and leap of faith. And I wouldn't have gone to that mastermind. It was like you said, great in so many ways. And then I learned things I did and didn't like, but it's the same as
mm,
again, like corporate behaviors, working with anybody, what you like, what you don't, and you move on and take the best. And it's like you say, it's I think I value the transparency, as you say, of I don't know what you'll get from something like my retreat, as you said. And because I can be very similar, like particularly VIP day, like this
mm,
is your day, and actually you may walk away with not a clear exactly what you wanted maybe straight away, but I think because there'll be a time frame after it where you'll need to think stuff through, go to the journey piece, you'll be at different points. And I think
mm,
there's so much, it's those little, it's like pure coaching, that it's not in the moment, it's the light bulbs go off many
mm,
years down the road still, and it's the compound of all of that together.
mm,
And me experiencing, I've been in your membership and I've met you, and I look at the memberships I've been in, the masterminds, all of that together. And I'm with another, I've been in a mentors membership earlier in the year, and then I've been in and out of different things and spending time with him in different ways, completely different ways over the years.
mm.
And we've just built a relationship. And there's certain things like I'm not actually invested in his programs or anything, but I go to all of his events and I'll go to other things, and then I share his works. I'm like, he's amazing
Mm,
at this and he'd be perfect for you. And it's
mm.
all of that. I think we sometimes just need to be all more open-minded on of business and the opportunities all around you, and how that can really build over time.
Yeah, but to your point, like what you were saying when we just started this conversation was like you've got to learn the game of business.
Mm,
You know, actually building your network and establishing like grounded relationships with your peers or people that yeah, you might not buy from immediately, but you've no idea what stepping stone that will create later
exactly.
is a valuable part. I mean, it's honestly like network building. Like, yeah, I've got my Vibrant Connections membership, but that's my networking membership. And honestly, the things that follow those conversations, like, it's unbelievable. But you you can't be an isolated island. You've got to go and meet people. And to begin with, you might feel that you haven't quite met your tribe, and so like yourself, you go and explore and have that confidence to explore different groups, to see how the hosts do different things, to see how you know how memberships run. So if you're going to run your own membership, you've got to do some market research. Go and explore other people's like places, see what fits, see what you want to share, what you'll like. We're all learning from one another a lot as well, and that's okay. You know, you're never going to be able to copying. I'm not for because it's actually impossible. Like you can't really. You can be inspired. In fact, somebody was talking to me about this. Like, what is the difference between inspiration and theft? Like,
Yeah.
and she was really worried about putting her stuff out there as selling her stuff in case it was copied. I'm like, well, you haven't got a choice. Like, you hold it back and you ring fence it forever and it's never seen, or you help somebody and inspire somebody else. That's also, you see your role will evolve as you scale. Like, you become a leader in your space in addition to a service provider. You're a freelance to begin with, and then you're a a CEO later. And there's a huge pathway, and I'm on that, like myself right now, like evolving, like what is my role in this
Sure.
space. And it's really interesting, and I'm here for it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of embracing it and seeing and I love this line as well. Somebody said this to me. She was like, leave the ladder down on your way up. And I'm like, absolutely, leave the ladder down on your way up. Just like you you're getting help from up, and you're like giving a helping hand to those like in the earlier stages.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean about it being like a really beautiful like process. And that's part of selling, you know, because it's
Mm.
just serving the person.
Share more about, because I know you said about vibrant connections and everything that you have as well, but I know you've done some work on, I think you were doing longer retreats, and now you're doing day retreats. Is that right?
Mm,
And,
mm.
and like where, because I think that's really powerful for people with sales and being in a room and talking it more. Where's the inspiration come to go to more of a day focus, and what you doing around the retreats with this?
So the first of all, I'll just normalize that offers evolve. You
Yeah.
know, offers, what you start will not continue forever. Like
Yeah.
products start, they run their course and they get discontinued. And we always have to be really vigilant about what needs to change and what needs to stay.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love my retreat, by the way. Like I
Okay. You
love it.
do,
I
that's why I've
absolutely
asked.
love it. But it had become like an annual Monday to Friday.
Mm.
And I just got really tired. I loved it so much, but a whole week out of my business became a challenge, really, you know, because I've got a lot of clients to serve. I've got a lot of stuff to do. You're completely out. Also, um, it's a big ask to have people to come for a whole week. You know,
Yeah.
the childcare, or the majority of my clients are either taking care of like their children or their parents. Like there's that bit of a tug of war as to their responsibilities and caring responsibilities at home, and just their obligations to their business. And I thought, you know what? I can condense a lot of this into day retreats, and I'm running two, and now two in well, no, one in September, one in October, and I'm splitting them out as well. So these day retreats are going to be like for people who are leading up to the first six figures, and then my CEO peer day is actually going to be something that I'm putting for myself. Like I'm like bring my peers together for multi six, seven figure business owners who want to be on a round table. So that'll be less like facilitated learning, like I would usually do. But it's the power of being in the room is like incredible, absolutely incredible. So I didn't want to switch off my retreats, but I did need like a pause. So I was like, I'll just do day retreats. And you've just got to have the confidence to switch it off. And I was like, my retreat is one of my most popular offers, you know, like people wait to come. They're like, oh, I'll come next year. And I was like, oh, there's so many people waiting to come next year. And I'm like, I've just turned it off. I'm sorry. Which is another reason is like, if you see something, go for it, because the host is not guaranteed to do the thing again, especially at that price point. So if I was to run another week long retreat, it would be not a chance at the price point that it was when I was selling these earlier on in my. So,
Mm.
you know, I'm going to share, like, it'll be out of reach for a lot of people who wanted to come. So you got to grab things. That's the other thing. You know, you're like, if you see an offer and you're like, oh my God, that looks amazing, I'll wait until next time. I'm like, don't bank on the fact that the
Yeah.
price or the invite will be for you.
Yeah.
Like you got to leap. So that's that story really, because I loved it so much that I wanted to carry it on, but I couldn't do it at the full length.
No, I get
But
that.
a lot of my offers have changed this year. Yeah.
Where's and is that coming from, again, like you're saying, just evolving and seeing what works for you, what doesn't work? You're growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And always thinking, how can I add a more value, a
Mm.
richer experience
Yeah.
in a condensed time frame. People don't just come to me for sales; they come to me for fast sales. So I'm like, how can we make this impact exponentially quicker and richer? And you hear me saying this word experience, and I'm like, everything I do is an experience. You know, like my even my Zoom calls or vibrant connections or my summer social, my events, everything is an experience. And the sales training is like part of it. It's not like a boring white room where we go and look at the board,
Yeah.
like a slide deck for 5 hours. That's absolutely not what we do. I take people outside, we mastermind in the woods, we'll breakout room on the beach, and I always find venues that can have this experiential impact, and I'll bring the same to Zoom somehow or another. I do manage to do it, but yeah. So my masterminds have changed this year to make them more scalable and to enrich the experience for my customers or my clients.
I love that. And I think what I like about that is, which I think a lot of people get stuck on sometimes, is you have to evolve. That word's really key here. You have to be always looking and refining. And I've simplified a lot of the offers. I closed my membership last month, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
set for the end of the year. And there was emotional stuff in it as well for me. But the mastermind's been going really well. I love it, and I've wanted to give more time to that and my one-to-one. So, and I love one-to-one. So it was that decision of, I just need to be really honest with myself. And one of my mentors I've been working with, he's very direct, and he's like, I don't want to hear about the membership. And I was like, okay. So I think all of that coming into play, I was a bit like, like I need to read what's around me here, and I'm not enjoying it as much, and I want to give my time to this. So I'm gonna stop it. And I gave people options and things. And it's given me more time now to do less better. And I think
Yeah.
that times have changed. We're evolving. People's expectations in what they want has changed as well. And I think earlier the point around touch points, we have to be careful not to say that we need loads of touch points of everybody, but generally I think the client acquisition pathway is more touch points now for people to build more trust, to understand, to really think about what they want, because they're wiser in making investments. That's not always the case, but I think it's allowed me to look at how do I really, like you've said, improve the experience and enhance it more for the people that are in it, because to get them faster results as well, because ultimately that's what they want.
Yeah, that's what I want to give them. But to your point, there's two things there. Like, one, the fact that you've fallen out of love with an offer, or that it didn't give you as much joy, that is the reason to stop it.
Yeah.
It's like people are like, oh, but is it profitable? Is it part of the funnel? Does it serve a role? But I'm like, yeah, but if you genuinely have stopped enjoying delivering something, then it's had its time. And I think that, honestly, unless you can rekindle that joy for it, it almost like has to go, because it becomes a drain and not an energizer. Everything, as the leader of your business, like, all drains must go, basically, because business is it takes an enormous amount of energy to pursue and to scale. And if there's any offers or clients that are holding back, if your ideal client no longer excite you, you've got to up level those ideal clients. If your own list builders, if your own experiences don't excite you, your own offers, it's got to go. It's just got to go. And you can evolve it, or you can discontinue it and do something else. And it takes an enormous amount of self-trust to be able to be discerning and decisive like that. And honestly, that's what you've got to be. You, like, being decisive and discerning is like fundamental to being a great business owner and being successful and making profit and having happy clients, because draggy decisions, just like, it fills you with doubt, and that's not good.
If you're enjoying this episode and want to simplify your business while making it work for you on your terms, my mastermind could be exactly what you need. It's designed to help you refine your messaging, streamline your strategy, and accelerate growth, all while aligning with your vision. If you're ready to stop overcomplicating things and build a business that truly works for you, DM the word podcast across social platforms to learn more. Now, let's jump back into today's episode.
And then your next point about these touch points, I'm like, it's just because people can't trust what they see anymore. So we have to, even though you might not see it as a linear touch point, like, they'll see me on Instagram, they'll do this, and then they will buy this. It's not as simple. It's much more nuanced than that now. And we have to have enough out there to foster that reassurance and relatability and realness and authenticity, and build that relationship when you're not even in the room. So I'm speaking to you today, and this podcast will go wherever it goes. And there'll be somebody listening like in a few weeks, days, weeks, months time that I will be building a relationship with, and I have no idea, but they do. And so we need to put ourselves out there in such a way that our next clients can access us, even when we're not in the room. And that's when it gets audience growth and brand building gets interesting, I would say.
Yeah, it is so important that, again, the top of the funnel activity is how are you getting out there in different ways to grow your business. And I echo, like, you do have to. That was a decision I made last year with my mentor, who we've worked with similar, that if I don't love it, it has to just be a no, because I'll do the hours, I'll work hard, I'll commit, I'll go all in. And I think you need to, when you do that with something that has absolute conviction and meaning for you as an offer, like, that purpose is so important there. And again, like, lots of people, as hearing something recently around, people who want to maybe start a business, and that you've got, the fears that can be around it. But when you have real meaning and a big, the vision. And I remember a few years ago saying to somebody, like, cut the room with it, because I said, the kind of excuses I'm hearing from you right now, and they were excuses. I said, if you had real purpose with your business, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That direct. And I think I think a lot of business and everything is simple. It doesn't make it easy. And I think I think you're making this even harder than it needs to be. It's simple here. There isn't many choices, but you're making it, so much more complicated it needs to be.
Yeah. And you've mentioned this word, like, mentor. You have your own mentors, and you mentor others. And I also think, like, to be the best version of you, you're going to have help. Like, I wouldn't be at this stage of business if I hadn't have trusted the fact that I needed help, like, just clarity. Because, like, you need to get clear, you need to be challenged, and you need to see things outside of what you yourself can see. So mentorship is massive. Coaching is massive. Like, everybody that I see, like, truly successful entrepreneurs, they've all got help. They've got help in them, from their mentors. They've got, like, my team helped me a ton. My brand building. I've got a stylist. I've got photos. I've got somebody helping with PR. Like, the amount of help that you're going to need. So, in order to invest in all of those different things, like, the thing that enables these investments is your sales. It's so you've got to hero and respect what selling can give you, because it can give you everything, right? It gives you the ticket to invest in the things that you want to invest in. It gives you the most fulfilling work, because you get to choose, like, your ideal client, and then serve those ideal clients, and then make a massive positive impact. That's what I'm about. I'm not here for just, like, part-time, like, see what happens. Like, my ideal clients is really like growth focused and impact focused. And it's when you can grasp, like, what is that purpose, then it becomes a lot simpler to make decisions, because you make a decision from that, as opposed to, like, it's the indecision and the lack of purpose, the lack of clarity is agony for a business owner. It's really agony. Like, shall I sell this? Shall I sell that? What's the price? What can I do here? Should I be here? Should I be seen there? What about this? What's about the positioning? Like, this washing machine goes round and round. But sales mentors are like, this is what we do, right? We clear it all up, and they get cracking, and the results follow.
It is, yeah, there was one period of time this year, earlier on in the year, January till April, I didn't invest in a mentor, because it was a conversation last year to go in on ads. So it's like, right, we need to put into ads now, and that's where we're at, start. So I went on that. And then I've gone with somebody slightly different, a male, actually, because there was always that bit for me. I left corporate, very male dominated. Then I went into a mastermind, again, quite bro marketing style. And I was like, I'm just following the same safe patterns here. Then I went into a mastermind all women, and I was like, flipping it. My dreams are this. And then that dynamic I stayed in for a few years, and I worked one-to-one with the mentor. And then it got to the end, and I was like, actually, I need to do the ads. And then I still got to a place in May where I was like, I feel sticky. I need some level of accountability. I like
Mm,
accountability as well. Even
mm.
though I drive it quite hard for myself, I need it. And
Me too. I love it.
yeah, there was a
Yeah.
bit where I was like, I need a male again, actually just one. And
Mm,
it's a very different industry. So I went back
mm,
to asked him to mentor Lisa Johnson. I was like, I'm going to work with this guy here, but it's in the fitness space. It's really different. And it's no,
mm.
it's this and it's that. Because I think we can learn so much in different industries as well. Is really important, not just to be in our own, because they do things so differently. And again, bring in what we like and don't like. And it's been, again, I think there was something about, he was very sales driven as well. And that's
Mm,
like targeted for me. It was good with ads. So it's like I was able to identify the gap and plug it quicker. And you do, and then there's a natural energy behind just being in something new as well, where
mm,
you're like, I'm going to make every, you know, if I invest in something, I'm like, I'm all in. So
mm.
that's how I like to be. So I'll think of a few things and then find my sweet spot and go for it. And I've restricted, like I've limited everything else. I just have that as the only thing right now because my focus has to be there with what I want to
Yeah.
achieve. Really clear on where I'm going for the rest of the year because of that. So I do, like you say, yeah, absolutely. I would struggle to understand how people will grow at a rate they want to without any style of mentorship. And I think I experienced that this year where there was a slight
Mm,
gap, which was the first gap. I needed
mm,
a little bit of that just to have some time and think about where I was going. But then I was like, no, I absolutely need that level of drive behind me.
mm.
As a
It's
first,
really lonely otherwise. You're making all these big decisions and no one else knows. Like I feel like mentorship just like keeps you accountable to your own dreams. Like you tell them what you're going to do and then you do it. And they'll help you refine it, make it better. Like I had a mentor earlier on for 2 years, and wasn't with the mentor for about a year, and it did feel a little bit like I was at sea. And it might have been because we just relocated from Bedford to North Wales, and like my whole life was like completely like not up in the air and resettling. But there was an element of that, like kids at new school, like no, like you yeah, you kind of need to anchor yourself in sometimes if there's lots of change, or if you're going through if you want to navigate a scaling year or growth year or change year or pivot, like to do it all by yourself, it's a big ask.
sure, massive. One
Mm,
question I have for you actually, it came to my mind at the beginning was because I know your work is, I like what I like about what I've seen you do is it's strategic, which is what I like, but it's also tangible. And I think I've always left been like you've asked great questions, which is always what I like in sales to get you thinking,
mm,
or like stuff that we know, but it's like you needed that prompt again. And I think that's always very I like that way in sales. And you take sales seriously. Like it's not high energy style of do this, do that. It's like it's very strategic and focused and intentional. And I
mm,
think that's really important to get across to people. And you bring in good people around you, which is like you're saying here, community and the experience is everything for so many business owners. If you were to, there are loads of people that do sales, we know that.
yeah.
If you were to be doing something like a TED talk, or you were to get like a short moment in time like now even, but to share what makes you different, or what would be a message you would want to get out to the world in 2025 about sales and how different it is, what would that
Mm.
be?
So I write a column each month for Brand New magazine, and I'm going to echo what I said in there. And it is to absolutely like focus like what are you about? Remove all of the gloss. Like AI now is making like it's just so generic. So the only thing that you've got is your USP, which is just you. So how can you show up as real, raw, relevant, reassuring, respected? Wow, lots of R's there. But how can you just show up as yourself? Because the thing is, your sales process now is literally about creating trust, because we can't trust what we see and we can't trust what we read. In terms of like, did they really write that? So I would be like, right, you've got to embrace your eccentricities, maybe your like how you do what you do is unmatched. Like the results that I get my clients, other people can help. I'm phenomenal at what I do. You know, my clients get really phenomenal sales. They could get those results presumably from any number of sales coaches, but no one can do what I do how I do it. You know, it's the experience of how I hold space. It is the style of how I deliver. It's my personal frameworks. It's my approach. It's my way. And
Mm,
everybody needs to like reinforce and galvanize like what is it about you that makes you so freaking brilliant?
mm,
Like, and that is really magnetic to others.
mm.
A confidence, a self acceptance, self alignment, like building your brand around, like personal branding is huge,
I
like
agree.
huge. People go to people that they trust, and the brand building is just a massive trust exercise building. You know, like more people are aware, and then so awareness first, trust second. You know, so I would be telling anybody to be like, right, stop trying to blend in,
Sure.
like start thinking that you need to sound like everybody else. Keep aside, look, if you must at the competition, but if you need to stop following people because they're aggravating you or making you feel inferior, stop following them and claim your own space, small to begin with, bigger later. And you know, you don't need a massive following, you just need a really loyal following. Like we made our first six figures with 490 Instagram followers or something. Same on my list. My list building has always been like, it could be faster, let's put it that way. But my list is high yield, and that's the thing. Like, you can have a small and mighty audience who are really really loyal to you as a brand, and like my events now are like legendary. I would be like, oh my god, Envis's events, you know, Envis's events, because they are really different.
Mm.
So it's not just like, oh, I'm running a sales strategy event. You know, it's one of my events. So how can we brand the experience around like your you-ness? I think it's just central to everything now, because no one has your perspectives and nobody has your story and nobody has your energy, and
Mm.
that informs so much of your sales strategy. And I think to stop seeing your sales strategy as like something separate.
Yeah.
It's business development is like a symphony, right? And you're the conductor at the front. It's not just like this one like creaky violin that's just like jarring by itself. That's not sales trip. That's not selling. Like it comes together and it's like a wonderful thing. But you know, it's the branding, it's the audience, it's the ideal client, it's the energy, and underneath all of that is this like fundamental process that leads your followers to becoming buyers. And then your retention strategy should be even clearer than your acquisition strategy.
The symphony conductor there is a beautiful post. Just sitting here thinking that's pure content gold. But it's I think a theme that's come through so much in this conversation with you today is around like the visibility part with the sales. Like it's all the time. It's like you said to this, it's the stuff you're saying and I'm like, my masterminders need to hear this, or there's somebody in my mastermind who's doing some work on branding, she needs to hear this. And it's
Mm,
it's that ripple effect that I think so
mm,
many focus on a return on investment that is too niched and direct, and it's always money related. And I was like, it's ROI, so it's so big, it's huge. And if you can just open your eyes a bit more to the potential of, just sometimes there's certain things I've done, I thought that's great for me, but it's not for me now, or it's not for me. And it's never stopped me going, oh, but actually I think you really need to connect with that person. And I know I did that one in corporate, it was like connect people and network
mm,
well, because I used to get, my boss was like, I need you to help me on it with my team.
mm.
And I like try to breed that through in what I do in business, because I think it's so powerful. Is you never know where your next client is, you never know the next connection, and it is just continuing to build those relationships, businesses
Mm.
relationships.
Yeah. But do you know what? I think it's like this is one of our fun, I say our, but it's mine. My fundamental values is just like generosity, you know, like just support somebody else, help them, make them connect them with somebody who know when you're not even like they're not a client. Just go and be generous, support, serve, help, add value. Don't limit yourself. Like if somebody need like I've had people like, you know, on some of my sessions, group sessions, and they've been in tears. And I'm like, do you want to just have a quick one-to-one? Just like, can I just, like, this isn't, you really need a bit of help. And I've probably got it in my back pocket. So let's just put some time aside. Like people who, I don't know, just always like support before you're bought, Like I've always come to everything like as a pen. And I look to it now, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, am I adding too much? I'm like, and this, as long as it's not too much, because there's always a balance, you can't give so much that it's overwhelming. Like you give an appropriate amount, but just be generous with your expertise, be generous with your compliments. People sometimes just need like, uh, that sounds like a great idea. I think you can do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I know you can do that. A bit of belief in others before they believe it themselves. That's so much about what mentoring. This is why I find it difficult to really coin what I do, because it's it's selling know-how, yeah. It's sales confidence, yeah. But I think it's just belief of the possible, identifying the possible and then galvanizing my clients into action that they take every week, so they can be like, oh my God, they look back and they're like, oh my God, look what we did, and to take those compounding steps. Like sometimes it's strategy, but sometimes it's just like a kick of the bum, yeah. But sometimes it's just like, do you know what? If you do these 10 things, you're gonna see results. Like
Mm.
trust the process. And that's why I think people really go adrift when they don't have a mentor or mastermind or a community that gets it, because you start on your path and
Yeah.
then you're like, stop 6 foot from gold. And you're like,
Yeah.
just persevere. So I bring a lot of that kind of persevere energy into
Yeah.
into it. And I think I lead from the front as well. So I share my blog, Mission to Million now, which is my own journey to go from multi-six to 7 figures over 12 months. I'm like, oh my God, I honestly sound like a lunatic. But do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what if
But
I'm
do
not a
it.
lunatic? What
Yeah.
if, like, before anyone's a visionary, they're delusional, right? So
100%. I think I remember seeing I'm a huge fan of that mate that I can't remember what it was called, like that Manhattan property program in America of Ryan Serhan. And I remember the first episode he did, he was like, I'm number 6. I'm going to be number 1. And I was like,
mm.
there's part of you that thinks like, is this guy an idiot? And then there's part of you that goes, I'm on it. Like I want that journey he's on as well, because there's a level of that delusion. Like, but he's probably instantly got to 4 just by making that comment. And if
Mm.
he's just going to power through as well, whether you like that or not or whatever, I absolutely think you're bang on there. Is people want to be led as well, and they need to be led on things, and that's why you, like you say, the mentor bit is so important.
Mm.
And it's kind of fun and exciting to have some of that delusion. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail loads on the way. You're going to
I think that the worst that's going to happen is that it might take me like a year and a half and not 12.
yeah.
And I'm like, I can live with that. Maybe it'd take me 2 years.
But
Whatever. It doesn't really matter, does it? This is
no.
the other thing. This is the other thing about like detaching from the outcome that I've become quite good at. So I'm like, I'm doing it, but it doesn't have to happen today.
Yeah.
Like, and I think to begin with, when I started and when any business starts, every lead is like crazy important. There's a lot of pressure to convert that opportunity and to convert it now, because there's not enough opportunity coming later. You can detach from whether that lead like converts now or converts later. It doesn't matter, because frankly, there's enough opportunities. Like, do you know what? If people aren't ready, you just I can see that you are like moving house, or that you're going through a divorce, or I'm like, just come back to me when you're like, literally come back to me when
Yeah.
I'm ready, when you're ready. And the amount of people who I have just like supported gently or had a discovery call who haven't quite been at that moment, who have looped back and become like really good clients, just
Yeah.
like a little bit downriver is fine. Like there's loads. There's like just countless number of them. And so I now just trust that they can, if it's not the right time, they know that that's fine. So there's no pressure from me. And the minute you can get to that stage where there's no pressure on the selling,
Yeah.
because there's always going to, there's going to be another opportunity or another campaign or another launch, or you can tweak it. Like, it just makes things a bit more comfortable. you know. But that's a luxurious position to be in, but you have to work really hard to get there.
Yeah,
But
yeah. One of the questions I always end with is what, bringing everything we've said to share today, but also the title of the podcast, what does success mean to you?
success to me means that you've identified what really lights you up and that you get to do it the majority of your day,
Mm.
you know? And that's it, really. It's different for everybody. So I'm sat here and I'm looking out of the window and we're surrounded by fields. I'm in Snowdonia. We've got our sheep here. I've just been running in the hills. Yesterday we were paddleboarding at the foot of Snowdon in the lake. And then I'm on a podcast with you and I do amazing work. I've got like this double life between like glitzy events and strategy and entrepreneurial like stuff and then like complete hillbilly, like I'll be in my Crocs, like give me 10 minutes and I'll be having a cup of tea. My cousin's in the garden like doing the tree surgery, and I think it's just really embracing like, and I first identifying like what do you want to be doing with the majority of your day. No day is perfect. My kids still fight. They'll be having squabbles, bedtime, all that noise is like life is never perfect, but identify what makes you happy most of the time and pursue it. And then if you can enjoy it,
Yeah, I love that.
it. Yeah.
I
And
think
so
I remember being on one of your membership calls. I think it was on Monday ones. And was it a chicken flew in with one of the kids or that was so
yeah, so we have a house rule saying like no chickens in the kitchen. But I mean, it should be like no chickens in the house, but they're forever scooping them up. They had them on the trampoline the other day. I was like, I don't think the chickens like that, you know. Yeah, we've got chickens, sheep, dog, cat, all
that
the way.
moment, very glam, leading a call and just need to sort the chicken that's flown in, which is very,
Yeah, literally, they brought it in to show me. But this is the thing, right? If I would be like really strict about not letting my real life into my business world, it would be really difficult and it would really stress me out. So building your personal brand is literally so much about just accepting who you are behind the scenes and letting people have a glimpse of it, you know. And when you're comfortable, you're confident, you know, in yourself. I mean, so that would be my tip. Success is to find like first identify what it is that you want and then go do it so you feel fulfilled. And the opposite is waiting, waiting for readiness, dragging things out, being decisive, feeling that doubt, that's painful. So get help if you're in that space. And we all go loop back to that space. But yeah, does that answer your question?
it does. I think just as a thank you, as well as something that's different in what you shared today, as my takeaway is the real, and I've worked with a few salespeople, but the identity piece is coming through for me quite a bit. It's going away and thinking like, as a salesperson in the sales in the business, where is that identity piece for me? And I think that's really important when we slow down to look at, as you say, personal branding. Who are we? Being honest with ourselves. How does that resonate through our offers, through our messaging, through everything visibility wise? Is it relatable? Is it of resonance? Is it consistent? I think it's important to build trust. I think that, and it's probably because the word identity is sitting quite heavily with me anyway, with some of the work I'm doing development wise. But I think that's a real key for people to lean into, is that could be, and it is a huge shift for people to go on in terms of how seriously they take sales in their business and seeing it as that priority every single day.
Yeah. But enjoy the exploration of it. Do you know what I mean? Like business is we're all just exploring and experimenting, like what will work, what works for me, what works for me now, what doesn't work for me anymore. And just to try and enjoy it. And it can be really frightening. That's the trouble. Things can feel really big and really impossible and really beyond you and only possible for them. But actually we start small, we start small and we scale. We don't go from like from today into 3 years later. We work on it every day in between, and we discover who we are in the process. And I think like business development is as much personal development as anything. They're intertwined. They're just completely intertwined. And so yeah, get curious and and believe in the possible. I think, it's all there. It's all there. People need what you've got to offer. You just need to create a bridge to help your thing get paired up with the person that needs it. And that's also sales and marketing is for. It can, and it can look however you want it to look. It can look creative and beautiful and a joy to host and a joy to lead. It doesn't have to be like clunky and uncomfortable and designed to like manipulate people into buying things they don't want to. That's not what it's about.
Enfys, thank you so much for your time and your honesty and shares today. Where is the best place for people to connect with you?
I think the best place to send people at the minute is my website, because there's that sales training with enfys.co.uk. We've got free resources. There's a good like money left on the table. Like it's like a little mini course that I only built that this week, so I'm pretty proud of that. My Mission to Million is on there, which is a really good blog. Like it'll be updating weekly, 52 weeks of how I'm taking my business to 7 figures. And it'll point to my events and my masterminds and all the rest of it. So salestrainingwithms.co.uk. Get some freebies, get some inspo, and enjoy looking around.
Thank you so much for your time. If this episode gave you something to think about, helped you in any way, or just made you feel seen, do me a favour, hit subscribe, leave a quick review, and maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to dive deeper or need help, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time.